Welcome back to the Crochet Crowdhouse with my friends over at Yarnspirations.com. We have two videos in one today. This is either the Shifting Colours Crochet Shawl or it is the Crochet Together Shawl. The difference between the two is that this one has wings that are growing out other than the triangle, and this one here is just a triangle based on this. Now I was thinking about Bernat Toasty. I had this in stock and I thought, what if I did this concept in Bernat Toasty? See how it's being split down the middle? This one also is too. You just cannot see it within this model here. So when we're going to do this one here, what we're doing is just doing a repeat over and over. So let me show you the instructions that are on the last page of both of these. So on page number 2 I put the diagram. It's the same diagram of both, and the Together Shawl is just using this, and you're just going to finish on row number 8 when you're satisfied. Now the Bernat Toasty, one side is one color, the other side is the other, and they uses just one ball each. So if you want to grow it bigger you have to get more yarn in order to continue that journey. But the Shifting Colors goes another step further, and it goes in and you make a triangle. Once you have the triangle done to the size, each side will then grow out on its own like this, and then eventually it'll transfer and then will work itself into a peak. So that's something that you can decide to do as well. But the reason why that this is being split in half, as you see, is that the yarn that we're suggesting of the Bernat Plentiful, you're going to notice that it is a nice slowly transitioning yarn. It looks quite fabulous, and because it's one giant ball that can make a 5 extra large sweater, what they're trying to get you to do is just buy one ball instead of buying two, and you can use the strand from the interior of the ball and the exterior at the same time to create this. And because of the variegation yarn, it'll create a mirroring effect with the point here being the center of, like being halfway of the mirror, and that's what's going to happen. In the sample you don't clearly see that, but that's what the goal is today. For tutorial reasons, this is actually the size of the ball. I don't want to use this yarn today because I want to save it for something special. It's the only ball I have. So when you're going to use this yarn, the first strand will be from the interior of the ball. You'll pull it out, and the other strand will be from the exterior of the ball, and you'll be using that at the same time. So when you go to split down the middle, you're going to notice is that one strand is from the interior, one's from the exterior. If you decide to buy two balls, it's just easier if you do that, but that's up to you if you want to do that. So today I'm going to be using two different balls to do that transition. So my goal here today is to show you the once through the repeat of doing the triangle, and then I'm going to show you how the wings grow out and then how you get to the point. So that's my goal today. So if you're thinking about Bernat Toasty, this is what it looks like here, and it's really quite fun and fabulous in the self-striping. So I have a sample of that done too that you did see in the photograph. So here's an example. So when we go to start, at the halfway point we're going to change over. So I'm going to show you a little tip on the diagram as well to make it easier for you. So see these ridges? The ridges are done in a way that every 2 rows in between is just a flat half double crochet, and then there's a ridge. Now because there is a long repeat of this, one time that you have to do the ridge you have to access it from the back post, and the other time it's going to be from the front post. So back post, front post, and you're going to be able to tell, like I don't think you can tell the ridges on this particular sample right now because the lighting is so bright, but there's no ridges on the other side. So if you get and do 2 rows and you're on the other side, then you immediately then are going to have to do front post double crochet in order to keep the ridge on the front side. And if you're looking at the good side right here and you need to keep the ridge, then you're going to use back posts. So if you can remember that every 2 rows it's just nice and flat, and then you add a ridge, it becomes a lot easier. But also see how one side was one color and the other one was another color? I did something to my diagram that I'll show you what I did. So once I got to understand this pattern, I decided to mark my stitch work. So this side was the beige size, it was like taupe, and see how I did my highlighting? So the highlighting is going to go right up and over, and it attaches pretty much to the first one here, and then it comes over, and then that's where you change the color and go into the spiced chocolate. Now if this was the Plentiful, one side of the ball is going to go there, and then the other side of the ball, the outside will connect at this point and go there. Now when I came back in the other direction, do you see how I marked it here? The ones that go right up and over is always the same side as far as the strand. So here I ended, and it's the beige that goes up and over and then back across. So this one the beige goes over, and in this one it stops and it's the beige that comes back. So if you can remember that, it becomes a lot easier for you to be able to whip these off in order to do that. So that's how I did that. I also started marking the rows that I did it, but once I came to clue in that it's just 2 rows of HDC and then I could identify which way I wanted to do the ridge, then it was a lot easier too. So for the Together Shawl, you just end on row number 8. When you get all the way there, it's about 32 inches all the way for the depth, all the way down. And then for us that we're working with the other one, the other shawl, it's about 28 inches and then you can stop. The nice thing about this, as I explained to you, is that because there's no stitch multiples, when we go to start this element here, it's gonna be awesome. So one side of this is gonna be one color, the other side is gonna be another. So when you look at this color then continues along here and then this color continues along here for the wings, and it's really not that hard. So let's begin our journey and let's show you how to do this. And we're gonna start off with our beginning chain first. So as I begin, I'm just saying one side is red, the other side is green, and then I'll know myself when I'm following it off camera here, and that's something that you can decide for yourself. Now if you're using the same ball color then it might become a problem, but I'll leave that in your hands to figure that out. So let's begin our slip knot to start. Okay, so to get started you'll need an 8mm size L crochet hook if you're doing the Bernat Plentiful with the Shifting Colours Crochet Shawl. For the Together Shawl I use the 6.5mm size K. Start off with the slip knot please, and I want you to chain a total of 4 and just hold for me. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to put this down and I'm gonna get my next color all ready for me, and we'll begin row number 1 in just a moment. Now it's gonna look really cumbersome when you first do it, but once you get it started you'll be able to do it pretty good, I think. So going to the very last chain you are going to put in 3 double crochet. So with that chaining that you're skipping plus the 3 double crochet, that gives you a total count of 4. Now I told you when I did the diagram there, do you see that I put the highlighter and it went up and over top of the peak? So what you have to do is that in the first row you're going to chain 2. So 1 and the next one will be 2, but you have to get that next color ready. So create a slip knot first and it will lock it, and this will be the next stitch there. And you're going to let that red just fall down, and in this center point here you're going to put in 4 double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So do you see that the first color here is the color that went over top of the point, and that one will always be over top of the point. Turn your work and let's do row number 2. So we're now on row number 2. We're going to chain 3 and that will count as your first double crochet, and in the same stitch right below it's going to be a half double crochet in there. So that's the growth that you'll have. So a double and a half. You're going to then half double crochet yourself up to the peak. Okay, and you're gonna go right into the stitch. Okay, but you're not done. You have to work with the peak. So do 2 half double crochets, but watch that second one. So 1 and 2, don't finish it with that color. I want you to drop it to the back side, always to the back, and grab up the red, pull it tight, and finish that stitch with the red, and then chain 2, 1 and 2. So there's the peak going up over top, and then coming down the other side, and you're going to put in 2 half double crochets first, it looks cumbersome, but once you get used to it it's actually pretty good. So you get the first 2 in, and now you're gonna half double crochet all the way to the other side. So you're gonna come into the turning chain and you'll apply 1 half double crochet first and then 1 double crochet to finish that. So because this is the red side, I'm just gonna turn and begin row number 3 using the red. So any loose ends you want to get rid of at this time, I would just hide them in with a tapestry needle, but just keep everything nice and tight as we go. Let's begin row number 3. So rows number 3 through 8 is the repeat pattern for this whole thing for the triangle part. So row number 3 we're going to chain 3, that's your first double crochet, and then you're gonna half double crochet in the same one right below it, and there's your growth. So you're just gonna immediately just half double crochet yourself to the point. Okay, so now what you have to do is that you have to go into the point. So you're gonna apply 2 half double crochets first. So 1 and 2, and this is the color that goes up and over. So you're gonna chain 1 and you're gonna drop it and grab the green to come up, and it's just gonna lay in front, but I'm gonna show you a trick. You're gonna finish it. This is the second chain using this color. See this carrying yarn? You can bury that by just crocheting right up over top of it, and you're gonna put 2 half double crochets with that same color right up over top of that carrying yarn, and it will bury in. So the first 2 are in, and then you are just going to half double crochet to the edge. Make sure the last stitch in the turning chain has 1 half double crochet and a double crochet so that you have the growth, and this is row number 3. So you have to go into this stitch right here and then the turning chain. So it'll be half and then a double. And let's begin row number 4. So turn your work and let's get ready. In row number 4, do you see this color here? In the main sample that'll be pretty much invisible for you because of the way that the yarn is, even with the toasty. So I wouldn't worry about that. So in row number 4 you're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3 and a half double crochet in the same one. So this row that we're about to do is going to establish the front side for you. So starting in the next stitch you want to double crochet a back post. So wrap in the hook coming from the back in between the next half double crochet and then back out, and it's gonna be a half double crochet back post. And this is going to put the ridge on the front side. So going into the next half, or sorry, going into the next stitch, they're all back post double crochet at this point, right to the point. So obviously the point you're gonna go into the space. So you might want to pull on it tight first, then go in your corner with 2 half double crochet, but because this is the green side I don't want to finish that stitch. I want to grab up the red and pull it through to finish, and then chain 2 to go up over the top and then down the other side. So start with 2 halves, and then once you start the stitch work go in the back post all the way down to the other side except for the turning chain. Now you'll notice that these strings are kind of twisting around. All you just need to do is just look at it and just spin the project, and it should untangle for you. There you go. So I'd get in the habit of doing that when you start a row. So just go down the back post all the way to the end of the row. So this is the last back post before the turning chain. So start in the turning chain with a half and then a double, and then that was row number 4. So as I told you in the pattern review, once we did the ridge, the next 2 rows are just half double crochets, and then there will be a ridge on the 3rd row. And the 3rd row, the next time you will see when we keep turning it back and forth, is that it won't be a back post next time, it'll be a front post, and you'll be able to identify that pretty easily. So row number 5, chain 3 and then a half double crochet in the same one, and then starting all the way up to the point it's just 1 half double crochet in each, and this is the red side. So this one will go up over top of the peak, and then we'll pick up that green as we go over. Okay. So you're gonna go in your peak, so 1 and 2, and this is the color that goes up over the top. So 1 and then pick up this green, just pull it tight. That's 2, that's your second chain, and then you'll put in your 2 half double crochets. So go right up over top of that chain that you just carried, or that strand you just carried up. And you can pull things tight if you need to as well, especially the red. Just make sure the strand always goes to the back side after you're done with it. And then what you can do is see how it's being pulled up like that. The first stitch you can just go right up underneath it and go right into the regular stitch itself, and that will also hide it into position, right? So you can always find ways to be able to cheat the system. So you're just gonna half double crochet yourself all the way to the other side, and then you are going to then just in the last one do 1 half double crochet and then a double crochet in the turning chain, and I'll see you at the end of this row. Okay, so we're just turning a work, and now this row number 6 is also a flat half double crochet row. So you're just gonna chain up 3 and then half double crochet and then keep half double crocheting all the way up to the point. This is the color green, so this one will stop here and the chaining of the 2 will be red as it jumps over the top, and then you'll come down the other side. One thing that I did do when I was doing this gapping ridge that you'll see come up, they're not equally spaced all the way through, so you'll see it narrow in one section and then more open in another, and I thought that I was doing something wrong, but it turns out that it's just the stitch work itself that's causing that. So if you think it should be equally spaced all the way through, it's not. So please do this row all the way across. Make sure you change your yarns midway through, and I'll see you at the other side. I think you got it by this point. Well, hopefully. This is row number 6. I just finished row number 6, so I'm turning my work. Row number 7, we're on the back side, but we need to create the ridge. So we just did 2 layers of flat half double crochets, and now we're on a ridge, but we're looking at the back side. So this is the side that you need to do front post double crochets. So 1, 2, 3 will start us with a double and then a half in the first one. Then starting in the next stitch, you're going to do front post double crochets, then all the way to the point. And what this is doing is it's putting a ridge on the other side of the work. I'll show you in just a moment. So you're just gonna keep working with front post double crochet across. Now row number 7 is the last row that you will need to do if you're expanding out into the wings later on in this pattern. So you can repeat rows number 3 through 8 over and over and over, but when you're ready to do the rows, the last row should be this row, number 7, which is creating this front post ridge here. So let me show you. There's the ridge right here. So this is where you would want to finish. So continue along, and again handle the corners like you already know it. So this is the red color. So this is the color that will go right up over top of the peak. So by being consistent with the same strand of going up over top of the peak, it'll keep it nice and equal at the top. So coming right into the last one, and then put in your 2 half double crochets before you turn. So 1 and 2, and then chain 1 and drop it, grab the green, chain, okay, and then go right up over top of that green for 2 halves, 1 and 2, and if it's not buried enough for you, just shift under it and into the first stitch. These are front post double, actually in this case it's a front post double crochet, so I wouldn't worry about it. It'll get stuck underneath automatically. Okay, so just continue to do that, and therefore the ridging will then be transferred to the other side as you go. So this is row number 7. This would be the last row that you would want to do before expanding to the wings, but I got one more row to show you before we can get to that part, and I'll be right back. So I'm just finishing up row number 7, and I'm just coming into my last turning chain. It'll be a half and then a double. Okay, so we have row number 8 to do if you're continuing to repeat the pattern in order to get to the size. So just as I mentioned, there's 2 rows of halves, just flat, and then there's these ridging. So row number 8 is starting to do the half again, because if you look at row number 3, it's 1 more row of flat and then it does the ridge. So just keep in mind 2 rows of flat, 1 ridge, 2 rows of flat, and etc. And make sure that you do end on row number 7. So when you're thinking about it, row number 7, when we were working through it, if you recall, just remember that you're doing that as a front post double crochet in order to get that ridge, if that helps you to know that. Let's do row number 8. So row number 8 is the end of the repeat. If you're continuing over and over and over, it's also the end row for that together shawl. So then you're just continuing just a half double crochet, and you'll just do that all the way across. Okay, make sure you handle your points, you change your color, and then come down the other side. So I'm gonna leave that with you. I've already shown you how to do that, and that would be it. So I'm going to move along in today's tutorial. For the together shawl, that's all you need to know, but for the other one, shifting colors, we're going to go to the next step, and so make sure that you finish on row number 7, and we'll go to the diagram now. So row number 7 is where we want to finish off. The instructions say to finish on number 7 as we're then going to continue into the wings. Okay, so the Together Shawl ends on row number 8 completely, and again if you want to add more yarn and make it bigger, you can more than welcome to continue the cycle. Now for those moving on for the wings, the right side of the shawl and the left side are working out like this. So the point of the shawl is here. So the one color is gonna go and expand outward like this, and the other color is gonna go this way. So if this is using the same Plentiful, the strand that was being used on this side is gonna then continue to go back and forth. And so now you're not gonna worry about going all the way across this. You're only gonna concentrate, and you can see that you're going to concentrate on this, and it's going to continue to expand out, and then eventually this is going to turn into a point at some point in the future. So the other side will be the same. The only difference is that you have to make sure there's 2 sets of instructions, that the side here that is leading to the flat point always expands like it has been, and this side here is always going to contract, and we're gonna be eliminating out 1 stitch every time we're coming to the end here. So we have to just keep that in mind to keep the balance. So we might as well start, and let's go into the instructions, and it says shape the right side first. So let me show you the right side of doing this. So as we pick up and do rows number 1 and 2, those are flat half double crochets, and then the third one here is the ridging, and the ridging is going to match. So you can look at your sample and you can pretty much put it away, but we have to do this for a set amount of distance. Let's talk about that quickly. So we have to expand out from the outside. So it's about 28 inches tall is where you should be at this point for the shifting colors when you ended on row number 7. So from this point, the middle part here, it's telling you to repeat rows number 2 through 9 until it measures approximately 33 inches going across like this. And so what's gonna happen is that once we get to that point, then we're going to zoom our way and get ourselves to be smaller and smaller until you get into a point. So what we're going to do is that we're going to pick up, and we're gonna start on row number 1 on the right hand side, and I'll get you started on that, and then I'll show you how to do the decreasing at that point. So once you get to your 28 inches about tall ending on row number 7, this is where we're gonna pick up on the right side. You are going to chain a total of 3. Okay, so this is always gonna be consistent on this side of the flat side. Chain 3 and half double crochet here. So this is the expansion that's going to be happening on this side. So the other side at the point is when we're going to start doing the contraction in order to make that work. So starting in the very next stitch, you're just gonna half double crochet yourself all the way, and the last 2 stitches of this we're just going to contract with the 2 together half double crochet in order to make that work. Now the other side, you just ignore that color until we're ready to work on that side in the future. So this is row number 1, and I'll meet you at the end of row number 1. When you get all the way across, you're coming into the last stitch before the point. Now you're coming into that stitch and you're going to go into the point, so wrap the hook again and pull through, and you'll pull through all 5 loops, and that's a 2 together half double crochet. So that point just became, and this first stitch just became 1. So we're gonna turn our work and begin row number 2, and in row number 2 through 9, that's the repeat until you get to about 33 inches, and then you start the decrease. In row number 2, we're going to chain a total of 2, which will count as nothing, and the first stitch and the second stitch is gonna become 2 together. So wrap the hook and going into the first stitch and pull through, and then go into the next stitch, wrap, and then pull through, and you have 5 loops on the hook, pull through all 5. So the 2 first stitch just became 1, and the chain 2 is nothing. So now you're gonna half double crochet yourself all the way back to the other side. So this side is doing a decrease by 1 stitch, and the other side, because we're increasing the other side by 1 stitch, so you'll see that it will be parallel when it runs side by side. I'll see you at the end of row number 2. When you come up to the other side, you're treating it like it was regular. So in the outside here, you're going to, in the turning chain, it's a half double crochet and a double crochet, so that you just increased it by 1. So let's turn our work and do row number 3. So you can see that we're due for a ridge, which is going to be row number 3 next. So in row number 3, I can see what is the right side. These are the ridges. So when I go to start this side, I'm going to chain 3, and I'm going to half double crochet, and this should be, if you're doing it right, should be a back post double crochet in order to keep that ridge going. So starting in the next stitch, just access it from the back and come out from the back and keep that as a back post double crochet. So you're just gonna work your way all the way across, and I'll see at the end of row number 3, and you can see that a ridge is now forming, and it's forming on the right side of the project. So like before, when we do the ridge again in the future in this repeat, we'll be accessing it as a front post to keep the ridge going to the right side, which you'll see in the future. I'll see you at the end of row number 3 in just a moment. At the end of row number 3, you gotta keep an eye that this one and this one here are the 2 last stitches, so they'll just be a half double crochet, 2 together. So just going into the first one and then going into the next one, and then pull through all 5 loops, and that's a 2 together half double crochet. So this should be keeping a pretty much of the right angle. Turning our work, and we'll do row number 4. Row number 4, we're going to chain 2, doesn't count as anything, and you're gonna put the first 2 together as a 2 together half double crochet. These are just gonna be regular half double crochets going all the way across, and at the very end it's going to be that half double crochet and a double crochet in the last one to keep that growth going out. So while we're eliminating on this side, we're growing on the other. I'll see you on the other side in just a moment. This is row number 4. On the very last stitch you're going to half double crochet and double crochet, and this will end row number 4. So turn and work, and let's continue our journey for row number 5. Row number 5, it's still a half double crochet in the flat. So remember, it's 2 rows in a row that are the flat, and then you got a ridge again. So just doing what you know, half double crochet all the way across, and then put the last 2 together, and I'll see you at the end of that, and we'll kick off row number 6, which will be another ridge stitch in just a moment. So I will turn my work and get ready for row number 6 in just a moment. So row number 6, I've already turned my work and I'm looking where I am. So this is the expansion side, this is the point that it was. So we're going to start up and chain 2, doesn't count as anything, put the first 2 together, and then starting in the very next stitch you're going to do a front post double crochet. So this is keeping the ridge on the other side, and you're gonna do this all the way across, and then the last stitch you already know it's a half and a double in the same. So if you just turn this around onto the good side, you'll see that a ridge is happening. So continue this all the way across. This is row number 6. Then continuing along, and the last one is just a half and a double, and this is the end of row number 6. Turn your work. So the next 3 rows are each going to be a flat half double crochet. So rows number 7, 8, and 9, I think you already know what you're doing with this particular point. So this side is expanding, this side is eliminating out a stitch. So you're seeing it just flow out like that. You're going to want to repeat rows number 2 through 9 until it's approximately 33 inches here. And then you're gonna start doing the decrease. So I'm going to leave rows number 7, 8, and 9 for you to be able to finish. So just continue that, and then pick it up in row number 2 and go through 9 until you get to the satisfied width. A recommendation that I would have for you, if this was me and you weren't watching me, I would do the other side as well. So once I think that I have this side enough, before I start to decrease on this side, I would want to do this side here to match it, and then look at it and then make a determination, because once you start to decrease on the one side, that's it, right? That's gonna be the determination. So if you wanna make it bigger, you can do that. You will also notice here is that keep the ridges consistent. So if you're growing this out, just keep an eye on keeping those ridges on the front side of the work. Don't ever have the ridge on the back. So if you think you're going wrong in any way, just make sure that you always keep the ridges there. So let's talk about doing the left hand side, because the left hand side is exactly what we just learned here. The difference is that row number 1 is slightly different. So the left hand side, what you will do is that where your strand is finished, which is at the point, is that you're going to chain 2, and you're going to use this space and the first stitch with the 2 together half double crochet, and you're going to half double crochet all the way to the end, and you're still going to increase on this side. So a half and a double. The instructions I just gave on this side, rows number 2 through 9, apply then from this point going forward. So again, watch these ridges. So once you're ready to do the decrease, you're going to notice is that the decrease no longer has ridges. It's just gonna be flat half double crochet. So when you're about to start the decrease, you're going to decrease by putting the 2 together here and the 2 together there, and you'll be eliminating out 2 stitches each and every time. And you're going to go back and forth on this thing and doing that each and every time, and it's gonna get more narrower until you end up with about 3 stitches left. And then you'll do a 3 together half double crochet right at the point, and that's where you're going to finish. Then you'll do the same to the other side. So you'll eliminate 2 on one side, 2 on the other, and then you'll get to a point on this side. Let me show you how to do a 2 together, sorry, a 3 together. So if I was just to do that, what you can do there is 1 and there's 2, which we already know, and if it's a 3 together you'll wrap and go into the third, and then you'll have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and you'll pull through all of them, and that's a 3 together that you will do right at the end of this whole thing. It's actually pretty easy to be able to follow this along. It's a nice easy steady decrease all the way to the point, and that's something that you should be able to handle on your own. So just refer to the instructions if you need any help, and just remember that there is no ridges as you're going to the point, so then you don't have to worry about front or back when it comes to that. So hopefully this makes sense, and it's Mikey on behalf of the Crochet Crowd. So it's my friends over at Yarnspirations.com. Bye bye.